talking about training cops.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that, like, very consistently?
Very consistently. I'd say maybe 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been about 2 years.
Yeah.
And so talk to me about how you kind of entered into that. How did that start?
Dude,
Because I don't know this. I don't know the answer to this.
So I think a lot of people think that JBS Training Group is far more professional than it actually is, right? The answer to that is I'm sure I don't know. Like, I don't know how this stuff happens, right? But I think that if I could like pinpoint something, I would say I hold open enrollment courses. Certain cops from certain agencies will sign up and show up for those open enrollment courses. They enjoy the product. They like what they get, kind of thing. They call back later and they want to do a closed course or a contract or something like that. And then, like, who do cops love hanging out with more than anybody else, dude? Freaking cops, you know what I'm saying? So like they talk and word kind of travels. And I think what happens, especially for a dude like me, this is what it feels like. I'm not like them, right? So I'm not a badge wearing dude. I'm not a military dude. I'm just a normal dude. And so I think a lot of agencies or people that hold the power to bring me in for those agencies are reluctant to do so because they haven't heard of anybody else doing it. And I think what happens is once you kind of get your foot in the door and there's a larger or maybe a more respected agency in the area that brings you in, it almost seems like it gives everybody else permission, right?
Yeah,
like they're like, okay, this dude's cool, we can do it. You know what I mean? So I think that getting in with like some of the larger metropolitan areas across the country, and things like that have branched out into the smaller county agencies, and things like that, where they realize, okay, this is okay to do. We're not being dumb by doing this, but that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, because I've heard other cops say this is like agencies copy what the other agencies are doing. They're just they whether it's you screwed up and and you had to fix a problem, so we're fixing our problem, our potential problem too, or that looks like you guys are doing a really good job. We're just going to do the same thing.
Dude, what I see is the
double-edged sword. By the way.
For sure.
Yeah.
So from the point of perspective of like just the gear and the ideas, or you might call it mindset, right? The way that waterfall goes is dam neck feeds down to the federal level. The federal level feeds down to the state level. The state level feeds down to the local level, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of these local coppers, they've got guns that are set up like something they saw on a Navy SEAL YouTube video. They're not sure why. They just have it like that, right? Because like that's the trend. That's how it works out, right? So if this local agency, they're not interested in you, they ain't got nothing for you, right? Not interested whatsoever. If they find out you're teaching at a state agency or a federal agency, they're like, oh, never mind. We're cool with that, right? And so that. And I think that's just human nature, right? It is what it is. It's not an institutional thing that's significant to cops. I think a lot of industries have something similar to that, 100%. Right? But I think a lot of these agencies have just kind of garnered permission by just paying attention and seeing that other people are okay with this.
So I'm wondering, like, with that, because 2 years is a while, but at the same time, it's not that long.
Yeah, it don't feel that long.
That's what I was just gonna say. So it's not that long. So I'm wondering, like, what are the bigger, this is a little bit of a cliched, like kind of softball question that I think most people would expect me to ask, but not at the same time. And that is like, what are the biggest things that you've learned, say, in the last 2 years, like from where you started to where you are now, in terms of working with cops in general? Like, I know it's a really broad question, but I know that learning curve can be very sharp, and I'm curious to hear what your answer is.
So I don't know if you'll cut this out or not, but the first thing is you should hide your money from the federal government. Right? So there's that. The next thing is that there's a lot of people in this particular institution, that is the law enforcement institution. And I find this to be true almost kind of regardless of tier, right? It's kind of a thing that permeates throughout the entire ideology of it. There's very, very few opportunities that are given to people to, like, permission to think critically, right? Like, very few opportunities for permission to ask questions, right? Or to challenge. That's a big one, right? To challenge this idea. So a lot of these guys are very reluctant it's weird, man. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you can feel it in the air sometimes. They're they're nodding and smiling, right? And they're laughing at the jokes and stuff, but they're very reluctant to buy into this because it's so significantly different than anything they've ever heard before. And I think they know that if they buy into it, they are now the anomaly. They're the the scarlet letter. They're the one that ain't like everybody else, right? And I think people, above all things, the inner calling of our being is to belong. Right, like we want to belong to something. You know what I mean? And I think that there's a lot that kind of goes into why a dude is like that. But I think the large majority of it is they're worried about what everybody else that they're going to work with every day is going to think about them getting into this. You know what I mean? Like, because there's a lot of people that really do believe, dude, that the stuff I teach will get you killed in the streets. You know what I mean? They really do believe that, and they can't have an intelligent conversation about it, but they hold fast to these ideas that they've been taught that have quote unquote worked, right, for 30, 40 years, and that's, again, that's the biggest thing that I run into is what we do works. And it's like, well, does what you do work, or has what you do been successful, right? Because there's a difference between, like, it's possible to do a thing in life and win, but not be successful, right? And so I'm not saying that what you do don't work, man. I'm saying that, have you ever thought about the conversation about what might work better? Right? Because there's a lot of things that work, right? Riding a bicycle to work works, you know what I'm saying? But a car's pretty cool, you know what I'm saying? And so it's trying to kind of, with kid gloves, help them understand I'm not interested in a debate or an argument or telling you what to do, man. I'm interested in giving you this opportunity that we have for the next 16 to 20 hours, right? Whatever it is, or 3 days, 4 days, whatever, to really just kind of question and think deeper than me telling you what to do, right? Like, let's like, do you know what you're doing? And have you ever even thought about it? And I think the large majority answer is not really.
No, because they're just trying not to mess it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, again, I have a tick list of things I know I need to get done. And then there's all these other things that could be bad, and I could get called out on if I don't do them perfect.
So I had a gig with a team. I'll leave them unnamed. It doesn't matter. Set up a little course of fire, right? And one of the target arrays had a no shoot. It was like a partial no shoot as a white target on top of a brown target, and they were tuning up everything except for that one. And this target, I mean, this was with rifle. And this target was like, it was inside of 7 yards. It was like a 5-yard target, right? And, full disclosure, I set it up as kind of a booby trap, right? I wanted him to come in off of some hot, heavy, fast stuff and into that one and make a mistake, right? Because they disrespect it and sort of thing. And this dude, he would transition over, and the rifle would just sit there for like 7 seconds, literally
an eternity.
And then it would go off, and then he would hold it some more, and then it would go off. And I was like, hey man, so you're burning all this other stuff up. What's going on over here? And he's like, well, if we hit a hostage target, we got to run a mile. And I was like,
got it.
All right. So, okay. First thing, man, it ain't a hostage. It's a damn penalty target, right? Everything's fine, right? Number two, that's the dumbest thing in the world. Whose rule is that? Right. And he's like, TL down there. And I'm like, all right. So, hey, come on over here. Right. And so we had a conversation about it. I'm like, man, in a scenario based thing, or like you're in the house or something like that. Sure. Right. But like, how do you ever expect these dudes to get to a point where they're truly exploring what's possible and getting better at it when you're giving them consequences for failing at trying to be better?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is super weird idea to me. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of places are like that,